Good morning, Scribe.
Good morning, Patty. How the devil are you?
Good.
Good. It's been a while since we've spoken.
Yeah? You are one busy man.
Well, it's been that and a little bit of being under the weather. But we're getting back to our best, I think.
Good to hear that.
Yes, the pills and potions and witchcraft has worked, I think. So. Yes. So we're getting back to normal.
Good. So you're fit enough for my questions?
Oh, I don't know about that. Depends on the questions, Patty. What have you got for me today?
Quantum physics. No,
Existentialism, yes, I could probably deal with, but quantum physics, straight over my head.
Okay, plan B. Topping from the bottom.
Ooh, okay. Interesting subject. It's something that I see lots of accusations get thrown around of that. And in some instances they are justified. But I think there is a misconception in what could actually be construed as topping from the bottom.
What is the definition of topping from the bottom?
Well, I think most people see it as the submissive exercising their will a little too fiercely, shall we say, trying to control certain aspects of a relationship or a circumstance purely because they can. In some instances, and this doesn't apply to all, but in some instances that is because either the dominant has given them an opening to do that, as in they haven't maintained a certain element of control, so they are not fully in control of the circumstance, or the submissive has realized that the dominant can be controlled in certain ways and they have a weakness, and therefore the submissive exploits it. My own feelings on it are mixed. So there's the element, of course, in some relationships where one of the partners has a slightly switchy tendency. And it may be something that they've accepted within their relationship, that there can be an element of switching their roles, which of course then brings you into the realms of, well, what can be construed as topping from the bottom? Could it be that they have just switched at that moment? My argument would be, well, then that will start to interfere with the nature of the play. It will also start to interfere with the nature of the dominance. If it is the dominance that isn't the switch, it will undermine things. So I think that's an area that has to be dealt with very carefully within a relationship, because sooner or later, if the submissive is the switch, and they switch to, then they will, in effect, take over the dominance of the relationship. It is a natural course of things, because their feelings and their reactions to certain circumstances, whether they're the submissive or whether they're the switch, or where their head is at the time, will become more prevalent, and it will become a stronger force. It is one of, in my opinion, it is one of the downsides of having a switchy submissive. If they're switchy with, for example, another girl, so they're submissive to men but can tend to be a little bit switchy with girls, that then obviously won't interfere, and there won't be a conflict in the dominance that they're receiving, and they're looking for and they require. But if it is switching, if they switch to both sexes, then it can be a problem. But if we're going off topic there a little, because switching is a completely different thing in itself. It's a mindset. And I have known girls in the past, my own girls, that have had switchy tendencies towards other girls. They would give a little growl at a pretty girl that was nearby, and start looking at me and, can I go play? So, but I hadn't experienced a girl who has switchy tendencies towards both sexes. So, talking in the dark there, Patty, I would have to defer to somebody that's experienced it, because I'm certainly not going to go looking for it myself. It is not something. It is something that is outside of my nature. So, going back to the topic of topping from the bottom, if you have a particularly feisty sub, then there are elements that, of course, they're going to try. What girl wouldn't, or what boy wouldn't, if they're a feisty little monster, and they like pushing, and they like prodding, and they like seeing what they can get away with. There is going to be an element of that. Of course, that then falls on the dominant to nip it in the bud. Just let them know in no uncertain terms that their little ploy has been spotted and it will not be tolerated. There is an element, of course, that some submissives, can't get my words out today, spot the weakness in a dominant and will therefore, exercise their own will in trying to influence the nature of things. That then is down to the relationship, and it is down to the strength of the dominant, male or female, as to whether they can control that. If they can't, it will become a problem. It will become more prevalent throughout the relationship. It will become more, the periods that it will occur, everything will increase, because it is human nature to, if you're in that position, to take advantage. And if the submissive spots that there is an area that they could take advantage in, then they will use it, undoubtedly. They will. Certainly if there is pleasure or, whatever it involves, they will try and steer things towards their own likings.
So, correct me if I understood it wrong. There are two types of topping from the bottom. The one where it's absolutely selfish and exploiting the weaknesses, and the other one more the playful type where they test it out and want to have the feedback and see what they get for it. Yes,
exactly.
Okay.
There are always going to be elements of, I've been a bad girl, I need a spanking. And I've personally, if I have been in a relationship where a girl deliberately misbehaves purely because she is looking for that attention, then I will deliberately ignore it. Because I will not be dictated. I'm not a service dom. I am not somebody that, it's like you're a performing seal. Oh, look, I've been bad. I deserve to be spanked. So therefore you must spank me. Or you must do this, or you must, because that is topping from the bottom. It's a different way of doing it, but it is topping from the bottom. You're creating the situation. They are manipulating.
That reminds me of, have you seen the movie Secretary?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she did after
he... Exactly. She spotted...
him.
Yes. Because he wasn't a dominant. He was a kinkster. But she had the element of submissiveness in her, and she wanted to feel that. So she did. Within the movie, she manipulated and manufactured the circumstances. She gave him the keys, didn't she? And she pointed him in the right direction, and he, being a kinky followed her lead in an awful lot of respects. So, yes, there's an element of that. There is also a misunderstanding amongst submissives on what is allowable as in dropping hints, and would that be seen as topping from the bottom. For example, let me give an example. There is nothing wrong with a girl expressing her desires, her needs, her hungers to her dominant. There is nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, as part of a healthy DS relationship, it should be an ongoing, constant discussion. It should always be there. And, if she is feeling particularly naughty, if she's feeling particularly horny, if there is something that she would like to try, then suggesting it, dropping very big hints, or that's not classed as topping, in my opinion, is not classed as topping from the bottom. That is a healthy thing. What is the point, from a dominance point of view, from my point of view, the way I would see it, is what is the point of having a horny little girl there if you don't know that she wants to play? Yes, you can, in some relationships, in some DS relationships, it is very strict. Mm-hmm. She feels nothing, she experiences nothing, no sensations are hers unless he allows it, or she allows it, whichever way. So there are very strict control DS relationships, but in something that still has the element of control but is a little more open and easygoing, maybe a pet master relationship, baby girl, daddy relationship, something that's got a softer element, or even just a DS relationship that is not tied to very tight constraints, then there is nothing wrong with her letting him know. And I know some very strict dominants would say, oh, that's her being a bossy little madam and she's trying to top from the bottom. Not necessarily. It is in everybody's interest for her to let him know. That way the relationship will grow. If she is feeling particularly naughty that day, there is nothing wrong with her sidling up to her dom and dropping some little hints that he's got a girl there that's ready to play. I personally see nothing wrong in that at all. Others would see that as topping from the bottom. She's trying to generate something. She's trying to create a situation. There are differences. There are subtle differences that can make it acceptable. Just being a bossy madam because you feel like being a bossy madam, in my book, would either get you ignored, get you corner time, or just get you spanked and then ignored. So nobody wins. And I don't mean spanked as in a nice spank. So it's that is up to the dominant, isn't it? The element of control that they exercise in the relationship. It is their role, after all. That is what the submissive requires from them. They need that element. And if she has a little spark in her, or if she is a little feisty thing, then she's going to push buttons, isn't she? She's going to try. It's her nature, that's what it is. And I would imagine that's what attracted the dominant in the first place, her fire and her spark.
Is that behavior the same like brat?
A brat and a feisty sub. Once again, it's a fine line. Being feisty and a little bit willful, it can be completely different from a brat. A brat is just doing it because they feel like a complete brat. They're doing it because they want to. It's, that once again can be construed as topping from the bottom. Being a brat just for the sake of it, because they're in a bad mood, or they're in or once again, they have cottoned on that their dominant has a weakness. I think it's pointless. I could go into a big ramble about why being a brat, girls, ladies, is completely pointless. you are only denying yourself the experiences that you claim to wish to experience. I have seen over the years many who have put themselves forward as a brat, and you look at profiles that they posted and they're almost daring you to approach them. That to me is just an obvious topping from the bottom. Mm. And I would put to them, well, how long have you been on your own, ladies? How many dominants have actually approached you showing interest? Because everything that you have described about yourself actually makes you quite unattractive. So you are actually wasting your time. There is a difference between being an intelligent woman and having your own mind and your own opinions and wanting to express them, as opposed to being a brat. Most submissives I have met over the years have been smart ladies, smart girls. They are not stupid. They understand where their desires come from. And with the right coaching, with the right mindset, with the right dominant, they can still express all those things without doing it in a way that they make it almost in terms and conditions of approaching them. And I would say to anybody who is in doubt about that, go into these places like FetLife and Colony and wherever, and read the profiles. Look at the girls, ladies that have put themselves up there as brats. They may be bratty to everybody else, but there will be one that they won't be to, that will actually control that. Or they are just being a brat for the sake of it. And I would put to them that you're actually wasting your own time. Rethink the way that you wish to be perceived, and things will change. Things will change. Being a submissive does not mean being a doormat. Being a submissive does not mean that you are stupid, that you will bend to every weird and wonderful desire, thought, feeling that dominants have. It doesn't mean that at all. I've said it many times, it takes a great deal of courage to be a submissive. And it does. It takes far more courage than it does to be a dominant. And I don't care how many kick and squeal at that, it does. It is a fact. So, having your own mind and having your own opinions is not something that has to be necessarily suppressed. They can be expressed in exactly the same way when the circumstances are right. A good DS relationship, in my opinion, has open dialogue. You will talk between the two. It doesn't have to be within, for want of a better expression, DS role. It doesn't have to be the submissive addressing a dominant. It can be as people. But it still needs to happen. There still needs to be a dialogue. And within that dialogue, then feelings, likings, interests, curiosities, all those things can be discussed. And it eliminates the feeling, shall we say, of the submissive topping from the bottom by wanting, expressing certain opinions and being insistent about things because they've already been discussed. A smart dominant will know, and they all get logged away in the little memory banks. And you pull them out when the time is right.
So, for example, when the girl always dresses especially nice, or it happens a lot more that she drops something and has to pick it up. Stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Dominants all have their own ways. They all have their own ways of expressing their dominance. Some use words, some use physicality, others use mind play. So within those parameters, in a healthy DS relationship, the submissive will know what she can do and what she cannot do. More or less, she'll know what she can get away with and what she can't do. There may be times she gets away with a little more. And then if she tries it again, she'll find that circumstances are slightly different and part of her will glow. Because she's pushing her luck. But that is also part of the fun element, isn't it? You know, you have a girl who's a little cheeky on the day. She gets a growl and a slap and sits there with her bottom lip quivering because she thought she was going to get away with it and she didn't, whereas she did last week. So that is part of the fun, isn't it? It's part of the dynamic. If, you know,
I thought continuity is more important and clear rules.
Yes, they are. But there has to be flexibility. If, in general terms, you can have DS relationships that are literally cast in stone. She will not do these things. And that, once again, is down to the nature of the relationship. There are no rights and wrongs, Patty. I've said it so many times. There are no rules to a DS relationship apart from the rules you set between the two of you or three of you or four of you, whatever it is. Those are the only rules that matter. Everything else is irrelevant. Other people's opinions, irrelevant.
But what would you tell a girl who is in a DS relationship where she can't express her needs?
She's in the wrong DS relationship.
Okay.
Simple as. She's with the wrong one. Because why is she there? I would ask. What is the purpose? Are you just fulfilling their desires? Are you effectively a toy? And they use her for whatever pleasures that they want and disregard her wants and needs. In which case I would say she's in the wrong one. If she is unhappy in not being able to express her needs and wants and desires, she's in the wrong relationship. If she cannot sit down and honestly say to her dominant, sir, mistress, whatever, is it possible for us to talk about certain things? If they do not listen, they're not interested, I would hazard a guess she's in the wrong relationship.
And just to cover both sides, what would you tell a dominant if the submissive part is always too bratty or too too dominant in the relationship?
What would I say to a dominant?
Yes. I mean, not everyone has over 25 years of experience.
No, that's true. Everybody starts somewhere. I was a complete novice once, and I was completely out of my depth several times. I am the first to admit that. I made some glaring errors, Patty, at the very beginning, because the intoxication of a DS relationship can be quite heavy.
Intoxication?
Yes, you becoming absorbed within the role, and the sudden realization that you have this ability to control somebody through the mind, through words, through actions, is, it's an eye opener. And then you reach a point where you start to understand that it needs to be handled carefully. it needs to be, you've got to exercise control on yourself. Because otherwise you can cause untold damage. And that only comes with experience. Now, to a dominance that maybe is new, there are recent additions, they have discovered this side of them, and it is becoming more prevalent. And they come into contact with, a girl that has a feisty element and perhaps is a little bit bratty and is a little bit, wanting something from them, is very needy. Then what I would say to them is, you need to sit and look at it. Look at the relationship you have. Look at what it is that she is telling you. Why is she doing these things? Is it just because she can and she's trying to push your buttons? In which case then you need to work out a strategy and how to deal with that. If it is her way of expressing desires and needs that you haven't touched upon, then you need to work out a strategy on how you can bring those to the fore. Discuss them with her. Find out what is making her bratty. Because underneath that there is an unfulfillment, there is a slight element of unhappiness. Why is she being bratty? Why is she being so forceful? What is it that's making her act like that? You need to find out. If it is blatantly obvious that she is just being a brat, because they can be, then you need to decide whether you're prepared to deal with that. Is that the type of relationship you want? And if not, then you politely and firmly point that out to the submissive that your behaviour is unacceptable. I do not wish to deal with it, which would be my response if somebody said that. No, I'm not interested in dealing with it. It's your problem, not mine. Why should I take on your brattiness? Tell me. Explain to me what makes you worthwhile for me to take on your brattiness. And then wait for the answer.
Do you think that could be a reason for the brattiness? They want to find the one who
Will
thinks
do
they're
that.
special enough to...
There could be that. Or they're looking for the dominant that is strong enough to break their brattiness. Oh yes, there's lots of reasons. We all know in life, Patty, there are some people that you just never gel with. You just don't like. In your opinion, they're a twat. Excuse the expression, people. You just cannot. There are also, you will come across people that are just unlikable. There are some people that just like to be controversial just for the sake of being controversial. There are people that deliberately do things because they can. Not everybody is suitable for everybody. You cannot make everybody love you. You cannot love everybody. So there will be times that, as a submissive, you come across a dominant who you think is a complete idiot. That's fine. Somebody else may think something completely different about him. In which case, my attitude, move on. Move on. Same as from a dominance point of view, you may come across a girl that is just, you do not have the chemistry with. She doesn't, there is something about her that you find difficult to deal with. If that is the case, you either persevere or you walk away. Because it will only lead to unhappiness for both of you. If you cannot establish the basic grounding that you need to work on, there is no point in pursuing it just out of desperation. There are too many people that are desperate to be in a DS relationship, that they will accept things that basically are unacceptable. The need to be in a relationship of that nature overrules common sense.
Oh, I think that's also a problem in normal relationships.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The difference within the lifestyle and the DS relationship is there is another element to it, of course. And those elements tend to be a little bit darker and a little bit deeper. Which, of course, means then you're moving into dodgy areas. You're moving onto unsteady ground. If you are doing it just for the sake of being in a DS relationship.
Yeah, I guess it's slightly different if you accept just that your partner, I don't know, picks his nose, or that someone sticks needles inside you when you don't want it.
Yes.
Slight difference.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is. And I have come across that so many times. Girls that are in unhappy relationships or have been in unhappy relationships. And it all stemmed from their need to have a dominant. Their need to be controlled. It was almost a desperation. They see all these other girls out there with their dominance and seemingly having wonderful times and thoroughly enjoying life, and they have this "I want it as well" attitude. I must have it, and they throw themselves at the first available dominant. Goes the other way around as well. Men to mistresses, boys to mistresses, shall I say? So that is to be avoided at all costs. People do not be desperate. There is no need. You are worth more than that. Because you only have yourself to blame when it all goes horribly wrong. And it will. Yes, there go to be a few incidents where it actually works and there are hearts of flowers and everything, it's happy ever after. But they are so rare. It's the old saying, isn't it, about repenting at leisure. You jump in, go in with big boots on and 2 feet and jump straight into waters that you don't really know. Then you're going to have lots of time afterwards to regret it.
Okay.
So, in a nutshell, I think topping from the bottom is a matter of degrees. It is a matter of how, when, where, what. And the only way that it can be dealt with is through the strength of the DS relationship, if it has that strength. If the dominant has the strength to nip it in the bud, has the will to nip it in the bud. Do they really want to? Do they feel that the submissive is worth persevering with? And vice versa. If a submissive finds that she can control her dom, then is he the right one? Is that what she wants to do? Is she happy with calling the shots and manipulating him? Or would she rather find somebody that she can't? Because the very nature of her submissiveness, there's a contradiction there, isn't there?
Yeah.
In being able to control him. But she may actually like that. So, and he, conversely, once again, there are no rights and wrongs, are there? So they may be in a DS relationship where on the surface he's the dominant, she's the submissive, but it actually works the other way around. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Within the parameters of the lifestyle, there is no right and wrong. The purpose of our conversation today is perhaps try and throw a little bit of clarity on it, and to suggest to both dominants and submissives that it is, it is one of those things that's open to conjecture. We could go into the semantics of the subject and break it down into individual cases, but that would take forever. All we can do is talk on a broad basis. But it does happen. There are people that will try. Hopefully, if it's within a relationship that is strong enough and has had enough time to develop, then it can be dealt with. If not, I would put that you're perhaps both in the wrong relationship, and that needs to be looked at.
Okay.
Okay, Patty?
Yes. Unless you want to say anything else.
On that subject, no. I don't think we could say a great deal more. Obviously, if anybody has any questions or they have opinions that they would like to express and get into a discussion on this type of thing, then please feel free to send us messages, to yourself or to me, and let's talk about it. And if it's something that can be used as the basis for a broadcast like this, then I will gladly do it. I am not the fount of all knowledge, Patty. I'm really not. Even after 25 years, I know nothing in the greater context of things. I learn every day. Something new comes along. And even opinions that I have had that are, deep set will change because somebody shows me a different way. Somebody explains it to me in a different way. And then I can see it in a completely different context. And I will accept that. I will never say that I am right about all things. But I will say that I am right about a lot of them. No, I won't. No, yes, I would. I would. Because that's my nature, isn't it? But I'm always open to learning. So if you have something to say, people, don't be shy. Come and say it.
Yeah, all the brats out there, write in the comments. Explain it to the scribe.
Yes, tell me why you think your behaviour should be acceptable. Tell me why. And I will be interested to read the comments. So, and don't, if you just put because I'm worth it, like you're some form of L'Oreal advert, then please spare me. That is so trite as to be laughable. Everybody is worth it. But if you feel that your behaviour is justifiable, then you must have an explanation for it. So, please do. I was going to get growly then. No, I won't get growly. It's too nice a day. The sun is shining, Pat.
Yes.
For March. And it's nearly my birthday, people.
Oh,
Before anybody forgets. 4th of March, your scribe attains the fine old age of 54.
Oh
which
my
means
God.
I know, which means I'm around about halfway through. So I have reached middle age, so around about 108, I think. Yeah, I probably get a little bit bored by then.
You should do what's it called on Amazon, wishlist.
I was talking with somebody about that the other day. Strange you should say that. We got into a discussion about financial dominatrix.
Mm-hmm.
And a topic that I could wax lyrical about for an awful long time. Bless their hearts. As in all things, there are some very good ones and there are some atrocious ones. But I got into discussion about wish lists. And jokingly, I did say, yes, I will go into my WordPress site, which you will find at the darkest Scribe on WordPress, people, and post a wish list. The only thing is, of course, is it would probably be extremely tongue-in-cheek. It would range from Lamborghinis to non-stick frying pans. Because my frying pan, poor thing, has reached the end of its life. I cooked some lamb steaks for my biggest girl over the weekend, and they stuck. So, bless its heart, it has probably reached the end of its thing. So my wish list would contain things from Lamborghinis to frying pans, from a pack of cigars to a vodka distillery.
A vodka distillery?
Yes.
No.
Well, why not? Because I think having my own label vodka would be probably quite good. I could quite get used to having Scribe vodka out there. Find some. Well, I actually know a young lady called Sarah who would do me a lovely label, I'm pretty sure. and I would start marketing Scribe vodka. And I don't know what kind of marketing campaign we would come up with. It'd probably be something like, drink this and you'll suddenly start spouting weird and wonderful words. I don't know. So yes, I may well do that, Patty. I may well, at some point, post a wish list.
If you won't, I will. And you know what happens then. You know what I put on the wish list.
They'd all be pink and fluffy things.
Oh, yes. Cute unicorns.
Cute unicorns, that is all I need. Thank you, Patty. Well, unless unicorn comes in, unless you get unicorn come in black and have a bad attitude. If you send me a black bad attitude unicorn, then
if it doesn't exist already, someone should do it. It sounds like the best idea ever.
Yes, I could quite see a unicorn with attitude. Because let's face it, he's got a big pointy thing on the front to emphasise that, hasn't he? So, if he's feeling a little bit miffed, then a quick prod with that, I think, would make his point, don't you? Mm-hmm. So, I think a unicorn with attitude is something that the fairy world needs. So, if anybody creates one, then I would adopt it as a pet. I don't think Molly Dog would be best impressed,
no,
but
probably.
And it would probably make a hell of a mess of my couch if it decided to sit on there. But I think it would be quite cool for me to attend an event with a unicorn with attitude. I could just see the people on the door going, "What the fuck has the Scribe brought this time?"
I think we should stop now.
Okay.
Before it gets any serious.
Yes, before
if that
we
is
get any
even
serious.
Possible.
Yeah. What else can we have with? No, we won't go into what else we can have with attitude. Yes, I can. Lady Angie, if you're listening, I need a black rabbit with attitude. She's the bunny lady.
Oh, yes.
She's
I know the bunny posts.
You know the bunny posts. So Lady Angie, find me a black one with a bad attitude. It's got to be black. The only colour you ever need is black. And it's not colour, is it? It's a shade. Sorry for all you purists out there. So I need a black. No, I don't. I need one like a hole in the head. But a black unicorn, I'm open to offers. I think we'll draw that to a close there, Patty.
Yes.
So that'll go on my wish list. So there you go. Lamborghinis, black unicorns,
and
a non-stick frying pan. Yes. Or actually, Lamborghini might be a little bit ambitious. Maserati.
Much better.
I like Maseratis. So I would actually replace my beloved Jaguars with a Maserati. Perhaps, maybe, if it was the right one. So I shall wish you good day, Patty. Now we've gone into the realms of the ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I look forward to speaking. I look forward to speaking with you soon, and hope you have a nice topic for me next time.
I always have. See you.
Yeah, bye for now, Patty. Bye.